Hey everybody, EQ here and welcome to the Value Add Podcast. As you know, each episode we bring you a dynamic, phenomenal, and yes, amazing guest who shares their insights on their various areas of expertise. But these are all people that I know personally and that I admire and who have inspired me in some way, shape, or form. And so they have already added value to me. But it is my hope that today they add some value to you. So without further ado, my guest for this episode, and I'm so excited because she is absolutely amazing. Known as the Coconut Goddess, please welcome to the Value Add Podcast, Miss Bodine Victoria. Bodine.
Hi, Ethan.
How you
Thank
doing?
you so much for the intro. I am well. I'm also very much hydrated.
Nice. Well, you know, we believe in hydration here at the Value Add Podcast.
As one
right?
should be. 'Cause nobody should be thirsty.
Now, Bodine, I know you, and we've known each other for a number of years.
Yes.
You know, and I've always been impressed by, for lack of a better term, your hustle. You know, you on the grind. You are a woman of many talents. But for anybody who may have been living under a rock for the last decade, please let the people know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and yeah. Let us know a little bit about who Bodine Victoria is.
Okay, wonderful. So let's get the pitch going. I am Bodine Victoria, a singer, actress, entertainer, and entrepreneur from the Bahamas who specializes in cultural entertainment and the money that we can make through those means. So I sing, which is how I have gained my audience and my influence as one of the top entertainers in the Bahamas and one of the top up-and-coming entertainers in the Caribbean.
Nice.
I act. I am featured on Travolta Cooper's Where in the World is Wally as Rovell. I've done stage plays with James Catlin and Friends, which is locally here, an institution in the theater circuit, although I haven't been there in a while. But I host and I produce events. My signature event is called Party in Paradise. I do it every so often. It is an amalgamation of Bahamian acting, entertainment, music, culture, and we set up just opportunities for people in agribusiness as well as entertainment and costuming and fashion to be able to be seen while the audience enjoys a stage play and music and live music, which is reminiscent of the drumbeat area in the Bahamas.
Nice.
Yeah. So hold on, I still good. I still good. I am one of the members of the Creative Industry Council, which is an offshoot of the Bahamas Tourism Board. And my job is to ensure that our partners work along with other partners to be able to create opportunities for entertainers to not only monetize what they do, but be able to create a legacy for themselves and to be seen. And there's just so much more. I'm the current BTC brand ambassador. I've been the BTC brand ambassador before. I am a brand ambassador for many companies. Thankfully, y'all appreciate you. And in terms of interest, I love food. I produce and host my very own show on YouTube, which is returning. It's called Bodine Pot, where I teach Bahamians, or I teach people the world over how to cook Bahamian food step by step. So I take all the scariness out of cooking and I make it easy. So we have a lot of first-time people that say, hey, I learned how to make this from you.
Yeah.
You know, so in the entertainment space, I do a lot. I'm also now moving into marketing.
Nice.
But creative marketing. So we can talk about this later. Like I now have clients that are coming to me to develop ideas and concepts for campaigns, and I'm able to sell that, pitch it to them, and then sell it to them. So the space that I'm moving in allows me the opportunity to have access to people and to develop skills which I can in turn take and teach other people. That's a lot.
Man, look, I tell you all, she is a woman of many talents. That's super impressive, man. And congratulations on all of that and more.
Thank you.
Now, what I want, because I mean, gee whiz, you can add so much value on so many different levels, on so many different areas, right? Mm-hmm. So what I want to do, I kind of want to take it back. Talk me through, early childhood. Like what, because I'm a firm believer that our childhood experiences really shape and mold us into the adults that we grow into, right? And so I want to get an appreciation. Was it that little Bodine running around was always into all these things, or you were kind of shy and you recently like kind of talk me through, some early childhood, how Bodine was as a little picnic.
All right. So my mom is an entrepreneur. She's a high school dropout. My mother is a high school dropout that turned her desire to be an entrepreneur into a business that has benefited women in particular en masse for over 38 years. She is Toya of Toya's Typing and Computer School. When she had me, she took me to her computer school at the age of 5. I cried a lot, and then she tried a year later when I was 6. So I learned secretarial skills and work ethic starting at 6 years old, where I began to type. That's how I learned how to read well, and that's how I learned the language of business. I learned how to interact with people from the age of 6. Now, there was a little bit of a thing there because I was a child. I was still learning. There were a lot of things that I was not mature enough to understand. But the work ethic, going to work every day after school and learning something, doing my schoolwork, and also assisting older people with their typing skills and being around that kind of community of women that was also like-minded is something that was instilled in me from a young age. Just being in the room with these women, pecking away and learning and improving themselves and improving their skills. And for that, I have to say, thanks, Mom. All right. From there, I started to go to different places to work. So Mommy would send me out as a typist. So at the age of 14, I was a part-time typist for a lawyer. He needed things drafted. I learned the language of legal writing and legal speak from those experiences. I learned how to be confidential with contracts from those experiences. And so that's like 12, 13, 14. At 16, I went and I started to work part-time at Scotiabank Adjustment Center. And that's where I learned finance, I learned business, I learned the language of money, legal stuff. And I got a lot of my other life lessons there. So you will see that I was exposed at a very young age to different areas of interest. And I could have gone into law. I could have gone into banking. I chose to go into education. So what we see is going into education, I learned, my degree's in religious studies and secondary education. I know some of y'all ain't gonna believe that, but that's what it is, right? If you watch my music, you will understand what's happening. You may have a question mark, but that's what's happening. And religious studies is a social science.
Right.
There's a level of sociology and psychology that's involved in it. And so in teaching for the number of years that I taught, I learned different demographics and communities and the way that they think, what inspires their thinking, what makes them kind of pulsate, what motivates them, especially from children at a young age. So my first set of students are now, I think, 31, 32.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like junior high.
Okay.
Not primary school, junior high.
I'm trying to do the mental math. Like, she isn't that old.
I am that mature. So that they're now 32 because I think there was only like a 7 or 8 year gap between my first set of students and myself.
Right.
Because, you come out of college at 22, but you actually start teaching and doing methods at like 19, 18 when you first go into the school. So,
so you was one of them.
Yeah, the math tracks.
You was one of the sexy young teachers on the campus.
Listen, that used to get me in so much trouble because I wasn't trying to be sexy, but sexy and sex appeal is basically in the way that people perceive you, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
For a different time. I'm not responsible for your perceptions of my sexiness, okay? By the way, just unless I intentionally do it. Anyway, so those experiences all kind of amalgamated into me from being a child and being exposed to business and being an adult and being exposed to business and being an adult and being exposed to the way that people think and interacting with parents.
Right.
And so I went into music while I started my teaching career. And my team and I was with Manifest Parks with Dunamis Sounds. I did gospel and hip hop.
Right.
And then I moved into reggae with Frontline Productions and Buff Boo Records. And I did reggae. And then I moved into kind of Bahamian and soca new kind of music. So it's a soca and junkanoo music merged, and that was like 2008.
I think that was the first time I heard that term, soca.
Yes.
I like it.
And thank you. But let me just make sure y'all know I got that term from Lady E, who used it first when I used to interview her for Island FM. I'm a trained radio producer and technical producer and video producer, by the way. Just letting y'all know.
Just letting y'all know.
Just put some respect on my name. Okay. So, when I sit down and I consider the steps that my team made strategically, we made music that became popular. We managed my brand image in a way that corporate Bahamas, they were like, okay, well, we want to work with you. You cute, you sexy, but you don't cross over the line. You ain't cussing a whole lot. You ain't unnecessarily vulgar. You kind of walk a very fine line. And that particular line allows us to work along with you. So the first part of value that I want to tell people is, one, know what you're doing. Two, know what your corporate clients or your private clients want. Some people may not want to align themselves with a person that's developed a brand that is a little bit too risque for any of their brands to want to inject money into, because it'll bring just way too much stress and the wrong audience to their brand. But everybody has a brand and everybody has a brand reach. You just have to know what you are intentionally trying to go after. So I got BTC in 2008. I worked with them, as a jingle writer, as an on-air talent, as a hostess for their events, as an ad writer, in some cases, voice talent for maybe about 6 years after my contract ended. And I've worked with a number of different businesses in that space. Remember, I learned how to read, and I did typing. I know how people think because I teach religion. I am always researching things that would be interesting to people and outside of my realm of expertise, because at some time those things intersect.
Right.
I know the language of contracts because of my exposure in both areas to the legal field. And when I don't have the knowledge, I have a community of people that I can reach out to. So that's the next thing. Please find your community, okay? Everybody, you should have, somebody that does legal. You should have somebody that does your accounting as far as possible. And at some point, you need to have somebody that's going to advise you on marketing, because some of the ideas that come to my head, I have to run by my marketing friends, like, you think I should do this? And they'd be like, Bodine, you're doing too much. Let's readjust this.
Let's pull it back a little bit.
Because I could,
you said a whole lot of stuff, right? And what I want to kind of talk on now, because I didn't know that you had an entrepreneur mother, but now knowing you today, I can see, and that makes so much sense. And so you were exposed. That was something, I don't know if that was just by choice or circumstance, like mommy didn't have anybody to watch you, so you had to come to the school or whatever. But how important is it, in your opinion, for us being the older generation, to really bring the younger, even if it isn't our kids, because I have a daughter, and she comes on sets with me sometimes, and she's always been working with me. All she knows is daddy is a business owner, right? But I've been quite intentional, understanding that everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, but at least giving her that exposure. So in your opinion, how important is that, whether it's your own kids or kids in your community, to bring them around and kind of give them opportunities to learn these things?
You know what? There's a level of responsibility we do have in this particular space to mentor people. My mom took me not because there wasn't anybody to watch me, because my brother is born in September of the following year. My sister was born 3 years after me. So she had all three of us, but she took me as her first daughter because at the time I was the oldest. But it was a way for us to bond, and it was a way for her to pass on the knowledge that she had to me. We need to form more spaces of mentorship for young people. where they get the hard advice, they get the hard luck, but we're also exposed to the things that make them unique.
Right.
And we are also able to form that symbiotic relationship where I pour into you and then you return something to me that is not only beneficial to me, but is also beneficial to you in the way that your character is developed, in the way that your skills are developed, in the way that the knowledge and the training of just areas that seem to be dying are passed on. You know, when I read online, again, because I go down rabbit holes, I see in some places you have entire cultures, their languages are disappearing. And it's because so many people move away from those traditional languages, or they've been discouraged by, you know, colonial influences or colonial powers that have just come and completely ousted people and their traditional practices and their culture. And I think that outside of the colonialism aspect, we also have things that locally our young people still don't see and value. One thing I'm not going to do is harp on people. The most common example I can think of right now is a lot of people say, oh, these young people don't want to work. No, young people now have a better a better sense of self to not allow themselves to be taken for granted or to be underpaid based on what you think will make you richer or more wealthy. Okay? And so now knowing that, the idea is to be able to offer compensation that is equivalent to the level of skill that those young people have. But also, young people need to be aware that at some point you are at the ground level, and having access to the person with the skill, with the knowledge, is more valuable to you than going and learning it by yourself and not having anybody to introduce you to the networks and the spaces that you're trying to access. Mentorship is not only about learning the skill, mentorship is about gaining the connections that people have. And if we talk from a spiritual perspective, a lot of people are still blessed because of the prayers of their parents and their mothers and the work ethic that has been instilled into them. And if you manage to walk in that same type of knowledge and in that same type of spirit, what ends up happening is that goes before you and your name is known and your associations are known before you even enter the room. You can say, hey, my daddy Ethan sent me here. Oh, Ethan is your daddy? Okay, because people know Ethan does great work.
Right.
And because Ethan does great work and he sent you as Ethan's child to this particular space, he's not sending you just because you are his child. He's sending you because you are capable. And I know that if he's sending you, I could trust you to do this. And I also know I can trust you to be confidential because Ethan is confidential.
Right.
And you would have to prove them differently. So we do have a responsibility of mentorship. We have a responsibility of passing on those skills. But young people also have the responsibility to themselves to be humble enough to let us give them that hard rebuke, give them that scolding to be able to mold them in a way that is going to prepare them for life, because the world doesn't owe us anything and the world surely does not owe them anything.
Right.
You owe it to yourself to be the best that you can, and once you provide that kind of structure, you'll be better. Okay, I know this is supposed to be a light conversation, but
No, man. Listen. I soak in this all in. I mean, I have my, being a business owner, I hear that all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, these young people don't want work. And while I do think that the younger generation, especially the Gen Zs, right? Younger millennials, Gen Zs, and this is not generation bashing, but I do appreciate that they grow up different.
Yes.
They have different experiences. And I think because of their different experiences, their outlook on the world is different. Like, they grew up in a microwave society, right? Like, I remember when we got our first microwave, it was like $600, and it was like like the size of an oven, right?
It was huge.
But these younger kids now, they grew up with the internet. They grew up with things being able to happen in an instant. And I think, well, that is good, because I do believe that technological advances help us to progress as a people, right? If used correctly. I do still think that they do not place as much value on the grind, and I get it. We ain't about this hustle culture and this, that, and next. I get it, but you cannot discount the process and the work.
Most certainly. I've recently got to the point where I said, okay, I need to get an assistant because some of these things that are on my task list, I just don't have the time or the desire to do, because it takes me away from what I could creatively be accomplishing, which means that I now have to trust myself to either train an assistant and bring them into my space. And it may not necessarily be my home, which is my current office, but it's in a space where I now need to introduce you to, this is how you write this. This is the language that I use. This is the language that you must use. You need to make sure that I see it before you send it out, right? Because I need to make sure that you have it grammatically correct, or the tone of it, given the situation, is one that will allow for me to adjust or correct it or to maintain my relationships. But I need an assistant.
Right.
And so I choose to bring in somebody that is younger than me so that I can train them in the way that I would like my business to be conducted. But it will be work. You can be paid, but you will not be paid what an assistant that has a degree or actual certifications will be paid, because you don't have the certification yet. But I can make you competent enough so that when it's time for you to get that, I may even pay for that certification.
Right.
You know, because we do that. We do pay for certificate courses for people that we bring on as mentees, because that's part of mentorship. But you have to show that you're willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oof.
And the process. A lot of us don't understand the work.
Yeah.
And we don't understand the process. Outside of that, I also realized that I do need to mentor a few other people. I do have, when you want to build capacity to be able to do your work,
right,
mentorship requires for you to introduce people to your methodology. And in order for you to introduce them to the methodology, you also have to have a vision statement. You have to have your basic values, and you have to communicate those values consistently until it becomes part of the person that you're mentoring. And that has to be something that they see exhibited every single day. So we look on the internet and we look on TikTok and we see people say, I'm on the gram, baby, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they think it's just an Instagram reel. No.
Yeah.
No, that's not what it is. That is the emails that you send out ahead of time to make sure to confirm these are the terms, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It is doing the research. I have hundreds of reels for one client so that I was able to curate a campaign for them for something that we need to execute very soon.
Right.
Okay? It's hundreds of hours. It is time management. It is making sure that you show and exhibit, or you demonstrate self-care and also balance. So you will see me go from one place to the next and to the other. But in between that, it's not just, oh, I show up, I have the people free drinks and the food. No, it's the conversations that take place before. It's the meeting the requirements. It's the conversations and the communication that takes place in between. And then it is the delivery of the product as agreed, and sometimes going just one step beyond what it is that you said that you were going to do, just to make sure that that client remains happy and you build a reputation. It's saying, okay, you said you wanted this, I gave you this and this. Normally this and this is valued at that, so please just know I added value to whatever it is that you asked me for. Because you don't want to continue to give them free things and then let them think, oh, well, this is standard, I got this for $100, so why are you charging me? No, it's always been valued at $200.
Right.
You know, you've gotten that twice at the discounted rate, you know, just as an add-in. But now if you want this and this, that's what it is. It's having those conversations and maintaining, you know, those relationships, you know, and communicating that well and passing that knowledge on to somebody else. So that's why it's important. It's important because as we continue to scale the brands, as we continue to scale the businesses, you have to mentor the people, and then when they move off into their own spheres of influence or into their own lives, they pass that on. And hopefully if you did your job well, and if they have good character, they will say, well, I learned this from so-and-so.
Right,
so-and-so is my mentor. And you wouldn't be shamed with them using your name in that
using
particular
your good
way.
name.
In that particular
using
way.
your good name.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, I want to ask you because, I have been, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I am focused on my personal and professional success, right? And not just personal and professional, but success in its entirety, right? My question to you, Bodine, is how do you define success?
Child, please. Okay. All right. So I've taken business courses.
So hold on, even before, so just to kind of put in there too, because I look at you and I feel okay. I feel as though you're a successful person, right? I feel as though whatever you put your hands to, you can make some things happen. I'm sure you've had many failures because we don't get to the point that we're at without having failures. Failures are part of the process, right, to be successful. So I just want to put that out there that I'm asking you this because I look at you as a successful person in your various areas, right? And so I want to find out, how do you, because everybody defines success differently, but how do you define success?
Consistently failing until you've done something right, consistently.
Textbook definition of success, based on what I heard just now, is success is the process of consistently failing. And what was the second part?
Until you consistently do something right.
Until you consistently do something right. That's deep, man.
Yeah, it is deep. People think, oh my goodness, I turn on the light switch and the light comes up, success, right? And so what ends up happening is you think that that's all there is to it. But what if you flip the light switch and the light doesn't come back on? Then you know that there's something within the process of getting the electricity to the switch that may have broken down. Success is knowing that process so intimately that you're able to pinpoint what needs to be changed in order to continue to get that light switch to turn on and the light to come through the bulb every time you touch the light switch. People don't understand that. There are times when we have we have an equation and we think that this equation will always be something.
Right.
Okay? But sometimes the variables change in that equation. And so the answer may end up being a little bit different. If you want that to be consistent, then you need to adjust how the variables come. Or if you get a different answer and it's consistent with your end goal, what you do is you adjust what your perspective of the answer is. So that's like a math thing.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a math thing. So success is also just knowing what you want to accomplish and then going through the process of consistently working towards it until that is accomplished, not just once, not just twice. I will use music for an example. In the last 2 years, I've had 3 of my songs, which are over 4 or 5 years old, in some cases, used in 3 national campaigns in the Bahamas, which are owned by, or the companies that have used it are owned by multinational companies, okay? Which means that my music goes to the advertising agencies, and the advertising agencies send those away to whomever else. And so now, instead of my music only being heard locally on the radio stations, they're heard in advertising agencies across the region. That means that I am able to create music that is consistently in the hearts and minds of people, and it resonates with them so well that advertising companies and advertising agencies see it, want to use it, and corporate Bahamas buys into it so that I can help to sell their projects and their products and services. And this is music that I made 3-4 years ago.
Right.
So I consistently make music that resonates with Bahamians and people in the region to a degree that it is now exported to audiences that are regional and international.
Let me ask you this. So, I mean, because it's obvious that you're very thoughtful in not just the general plan, but even in the execution, right? The methodology and the execution of said plan, right? So my question to you is, how is it like when you were first starting out, because you've been doing this how long now? Like, I mean,
A little while.
A little while. So what we talking about? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
20 years.
20
12
years. 20 years. All right. So 20 years, right? When you first started out, was it a situation where you had all of these different things figured out and then said go? Or is it now that we are seeing the sum of this process of getting it wrong, getting it right, getting it wrong, getting it right? So, like, I mean, because you have somebody who's probably listening and say, well, all right, well, shoot, Bodine been in the game 20 years, so she could do these things, but talk about hire an assistant and have this team of people, her marketing people, her legal people, this, that, and next. But, you know, for somebody who is just starting out, who says, you know what, I think I want to do this brand thing. Like, I want to build my brand, for lack of a better term. You know, where they start and where did Bodine start out? And maybe you can give them some cheat codes now because you have 20 years in the game.
The thing is, when I first started, the objective was to gain popularity, to have the music heard. So I wrote music that was catchy, it was still heartfelt. You know what? And the other objective was to be able to kind of vent through the music. And so I didn't necessarily have a corporate kind of view of what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to make music, I wanted to vent, and I wanted people to like it. And we managed to achieve that. You know, again, I had management that did an exceptional job with helping me maintain the brand. The brand was Just Be Sexy. And then, you know, we did the music, and the music became kind of anthems for people in love. They became anthems for people that went through a breakup. You know, some of them wasn't my best vocal performances, but they resonated with people. As I developed more as a recording artist, though, I realized that I wanted to do more because creating music is expensive.
Right.
After I shot the music video for Intoxicated had a production cost of over $10,000. Okay? $10,000 for one music video was what I paid in 2008 for Intoxicated, and that included the videography by Julian Lord, who does production for all of like CBS, ABC, international music videos. The quality of Intoxicated is still comparable to some of the quality that we see, you know, now. And the visuals are there. Costuming, hair, talent, models, craft services, and then to do the marketing budget. So all of that was plenty. I am not spending $10,000 on one music video of my own money in 2022. Because music videos do not earn you money. They do not return money into your pocket very quickly. We still haven't completely, if I only had to go on music sales and streams, as well as views and payouts from, let's say, YouTube, I still have not made back. In that context, let me just make sure I make sure that you understand. In that context, I would say that I still would not have made back the money I spent on that music video and all the components. Now, that brings me to the next point. That means that at some point, my thinking had to shift as a recording artist. How do I earn more money more consistently with the music that I create and gain that type of brand power that I need? I needed to refine my brand. What does my brand stand for? It can't just be sexiness, because sexiness only has a shelf life of so long. And as you get older, you can continue to be sexy, but it doesn't translate well for the audiences and for the spaces that I want to have access to. Okay, good. So what do we need to make sure that we do? What do we love? We love culture. Okay, cool. We love teaching people. That's cool. We love music. Okay, cool. We love experiences. We love travel. Okay, cool. So I started to look into projects that reflected what I valued and my pillars when it comes down to my brand. So I did Zenness, Fabulous Living Bahamian Style, where I traveled to different countries, different islands here in the Bahamas, and I showed people what to eat, where to go for entertainment, where they should stay, all of the experiences, and I got paid for that. All right? And I was able to negotiate the contract in a way that I got access to all of the visuals that I was a part of and use that to be able to build my brand. So I didn't just negotiate for money. I
Right.
negotiated for access to content that I would not be able to pay to have created for me. Because sometimes everybody only see money. No, I need to see the professionals who gone away to school to capture content. I need them to capture the content so I could use it.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't have that appreciation because, like being able to spot the financial and non-financial benefits of a particular project
Yeah.
or a venture, right? And so, no, I liked how you do that because some people say, okay, well, if you can't pay me X, then I ain't gonna do it. But you said, you know what? It ain't even just about the money because now they're covering the production costs that you wouldn't have to cover, right? And so, but having access to be able to use that to further elevate your brand and raise brand awareness. I think, brilliantly played.
Thank
Brilliant.
you. And you know what? On top of that, I use that as learning experiences because I'm there on set. I'm writing the scripts along with Patty Roker, who does most of the research, and then she submits a script. But there are times when Patty wasn't there, so I had to write the script, which means that I had to research. So now I have a script writing credit on a national television show, which means that I can say to people, I am a script writer, and I can say that truthfully. I script write television shows. I host the interviews. And so that introduces me and raises my brand value in
Yeah.
a way that allows me to be able to demand a particular thing, because where my voice is heard, I can script commercials, I can write, I can do voiceovers and things like that. I can host television, I can host radio, I can produce radio, I can produce television, I can edit. So the eyes that I have and the skill level that I have and the way that I'm able to execute it is a lot faster than a lot of people would have. And so it's not just that. We talked about mentorship. It's being in a space where you could learn from the people that you're around, even though they
Yeah.
weren't outright mentoring me. And so it's those type of things that we don't look and we don't see value in if you just look at finances. Some things are worth more than money.
So, but when you're going into a project, right? You're sitting down, you're saying, you know what, this is something that I want to do. Or somebody comes to you with an opportunity and says, hey, Bodine, we have you earmarked for this X, Y, and Z, right? How deep? And I'm asking because I know how I do it. But how deep and extensive do you look at the opportunity? Like, how do you dissect it? How many different angles do you? Because I may say, okay, well, case in point, I may say, you know what, Bodine, I want you to do work with me on this national campaign, right? I mean, which you have done before, but so that I'm really hypothetical. But but I mean, how when somebody presents you with an opportunity, how do you sit down and how many different angles do you look at that, and how do you, if it doesn't make sense, quote unquote, financially, how do you make it make sense?
Okay, so I draw Venn diagrams.
Now, for the people like me, I think I remember what a Venn. That's the one with the circles, right?
Yes, and the circles, and then I see where the circles intersect. So I have a brand, and then I have Bodine, and I write out the Venn diagram, and I say, okay, this is what this brand is. These are the offshoots of the brand, and then I write what my offshoots of the brand are, and then I see, okay, does this align with this? Does this align with that? Like, I literally go through that because sometimes you have to be able to see it broken down into the molecules of or the atoms of what the brand is and what the campaign is for you to be able to appreciate. The next question I ask is, okay, well, if it aligns, do I have the capacity? Who else am I working along with now? What are their demands on my time? What am I expected to create or be involved in or to participate in for any of my other brand partners, okay? I work a full-time job and I only have a particular number of days or weeks of vacation. I need to know, what do I have the capacity to do? Okay, I only have the capacity for this number of hours. This is what they're saying that they want. Who do I need to outsource to make this happen? Because I need to outsource some. Do I
Right,
need to
right.
outsource production? Do I need to outsource scripting? Do I need to outsource administrative duties? What do I need to outsource? Is this going to be financially feasible for me? What are they trying to pay? Okay, well, if I have to outsource, that means that my net profit is probably going to be significantly lower. So if my net profit is going to be significantly lower because I need to outsource so that I can make this objective happen, what else can I get that is not money that I can benefit from? How do I add value to what it is that they're doing? And that's how I come to a determination of whether I could take it on or not. It's plenty maths. It's plenty maths and analysis and project
Plenty
management.
maths
Yes.
No, but that I think that's incredible, because I mean, one of the things that, and it's crazy because for me, I don't just see one opportunity. Like I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I never do one thing to do one thing.
Yeah, correct.
I never do one thing to do one thing. My whole thing is, let me see if this, and for me, I also look at who in my camp, right? So I don't even just look at opportunities for me. I say, okay, well, if I'm presented with something, but I see this may not be for me, but this may be or
yes,
this may be for me, and I also see where
yes,
this could, so I'm like that guy, right? Like I can look at an opportunity and I can say, boy, you know what, this is good, and I think so and so, because they're in my camp, they could probably do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and so from that one thing, you may be able to get 3, 4, 5 hits.
Yeah.
That if you weren't open and you didn't expand your vision, you may not have been able to even spot the opportunities within those opportunities.
That is correct. And you should always be looking for opportunities for your network of people to do work with you on. Again, it's easier and it's more fiscally responsible for you, as well as it's better for your brand, if you bring people that are capable and that have a reputation for working well on to help you execute so that you can knock it out as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And you are able to earn more because you're able to work efficiently. And also those people need those experiences they need to be able to get in the door. But let me just provide a warning. Sometimes those people that you bring in may not have the same type of values that you have. They may not have the same type of morals or ethics that you have when it comes down to your business. So we need to talk about how you build a network of people, how you build your associations, how you build your friendships, because they treat different things. Friendships, associations, and networks. 3 different things.
But I don't think people understand that,
I had to learn that the hard way, because everybody in music, they ain't my friend. We associates, but y'all ain't my friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, like I think as a culture, we throw this word friend around too loosely. Everybody's a friend.
Yeah.
No, but I totally agree with you from there. But now the next question is that I have for you, because I think this is very interesting. In your relationships, right? Especially, new or budding relationships, whether it be personal, professional, how, or even romantic, right? Like, is that something that you look at when you're evaluating whether or not you want to invest the time, energy, and resources into nurturing this relationship? Do you look at this person and say, you know what? Okay, well, they're in accounting, and they're actually really cool. I like them, but what else can they add besides the let's go for drinks, or let's hang out, or I like being around? Like, do you break down new relationships? Because I mean, the people you have relationships with, you have, but like especially new one and new even friendships. Like, do you go down and say, okay, well, how does this? Or how can this relationship potentially add value to me and or my brand? Is that something that you're intentional about?
Okay, so it's a couple of things that you said there. So the first thing is, I believe in compartmentalization when it comes down to my business and my brand. And a lot of people this a hot take. That's a hot take. A lot of people may not understand that, right? if I know that you are confidential and you are professional, whether I like you or not personally, if you can get my job done, I will pay you and then keep it just like that. I prefer to like you as a person. However, if your ethics are aligned and you get the job done and you do it well, we ain't gonna have no problem, because that's a professional compartmentalization. I don't need to go to drinks with you, to have drinks with you. We don't have to go to coffee. I don't need you to know who my godchildren is. You don't need to know what's going on in my life. Handle the business that I'm paying you to handle, and we can keep it cordial.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Let's put a pin in that, because I have a question. Because is that a situation where this is a project by project, or this is somebody that's a core member of your team that you handle, but they only handle this professional aspect? Is that a core member of your team, or is this just somebody, okay, I have this project to do, this person is capable, our ethics align, so we can execute this project, but is this somebody in your core team?
Well, my core team happen to be people that have the NDAs and everything signed, whether or not we cool or not. And then you have the NDA signed for anybody else that you bring on a project by project basis.
Right.
Okay?
And for those who don't know what NDA is,
Non-disclosure agreements.
And what is the purpose of that?
That is to ensure that anything that you work on, they don't disclose to other people. And then you would also need to have your non-compete, because sometimes when you're pitching ideas, people will take those ideas and they will go and create their own version of it. So if you are in any creative field and you're looking to work with people, especially in production and music, you make sure to have them sign a non-disclosure and a non-compete. And let me just say, for people that, want to create content, you need to have your non-disclosure agreement, so that when your content is being created, people don't have the stories up on Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp and TikTok before you have an opportunity to. That's a pet peeve. Y'all see my eyes squinting? Anyway, let's return to this. So your core team should be made up of people that you trust indefinitely. Okay, those are people that are just able to know the inner workings of your business. Everybody can't know how your business works on the inside.
Right.
They should know the guts of your business intimately, because that, wrong choice of word culturally, but y'all understand what I'm saying. It just dawned on me. But
all up in your guts.
Yeah, they should not know how that works. Please manage that type of access, okay? Manage that access. Anyway, the point is, the people that you trust should know how your business works completely. But those people that you just need to do a job don't need to know that. They just need to know the date, the time, what needs to be done,
scope of work, how much, and that's it.
That's it. Okay? Learn to compartmentalize. Our problem is we hold ourselves back because we don't know how to be professional with our professional relationships. They are associates. They are work for hires. Pay them when you're supposed to pay them and according to the contract, and make sure that they deliver the way that they said that they are going to deliver and what they say they can do.
I can sit here for a minute, right? Because I mean,
Think about it.
No, because I am of a different view.
Go ahead.
Right? My thing is that I think I have the experience, I have the clarity of vision, I know where I'm going, and the reality is that I first and foremost can protect my energy.
Yeah, most certainly.
Right? I can protect, and so if I don't like you, I ain't fucking working with you.
And no, that's fine.
But I say that to say, I have had instances, and mind you, if I like you and you ain't waking out, then I am totally fine with telling you deuces too. But I find that I want to, and I'm at the point where, in my business career, where I want to be in relationships, business, professional, with people that I actually like. Now, that still don't mean that we going out for drinks and stuff like that. But like you said, once our ethics align, once I'm more. So for me, it's about, I gotta like you, because especially, the way that I work, if I like doing something, which is whatever it is, I could do more of it.
Yeah, most certainly. And you know what? We don't disagree by any stretch of the imagination. We don't disagree. It's provided that you have the option of working with somebody that you like to get the job done.
True that.
So sometimes we don't have that. Sometimes we don't have that privilege.
Right. Okay.
You know, we don't have that privilege of working
appreciate
with people that we absolutely just like. I like working with you. It's like, no, I don't like him, but he can get the job done. You know, we don't have to do no bunch of talking back and forth. Now, again, you talk about protecting energy, and I agree with you. Now, if that person manages to kind of disrupt your energy, and I don't give anybody that power over me, but you know, some people just do some things that intentionally are meant to hamper you from completing the objective in the way that you would like to have it completed. Well, don't fool with them. For real. Don't fool with them. But then that also means that you have to have the option of, especially if that component that they provide is a necessary component. So, you know, you have those variables. Can you afford not to have this person there in the sense of just protecting your energy? And if you can't, then you gotta make a big business decision.
Yeah.
You know, can you work around them? I mean, you should always be able to kind of slightly work around them, but sometimes it's inevitable. So the relationships that you have, if that's a professional relationship and they get the work done, do it. And then go kumbaya in the corner.
Woosah.
Yeah,
Woosah.
that's actually, Woosah is actually the correct thing, because kumbaya is actually you
you
that
hold
person
hands.
together.
Yeah.
So
No.
go woosah in the corner. Go woosah in the corner. So yeah, you know, we don't appreciate those things, and we allow these very petty instances to determine how far and how fast our business starts to grow. But honestly and truly, get it done.
Yeah. Now, you know, Bodine, you're like me in that we do a lot. Like when I tell people everything that I do, they're like, "Oh, that's a lot." I know I do a lot, but it's all things that I actually like to do. Mm-hmm. And whenever I think that I'm probably doing too much, I like, one of my brand role models is The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like, this dude is doing everything.
Yes.
Right? But I like how he's able to seamlessly move through it all. So my question to you is, I mean, between, you know, teaching and being a creative and, you know, being an influencer in the music and the marketing agency, like you doing a lot. Like, so how do you handle it? Is it something that you try to balance it, or like how do you stay on top of everything that you're doing so that nothing falls through the cracks?
You know, sometimes things do fall through the cracks, and in 2022, I learned this word, capacity. When you work for government, especially education, you learn the term capacity. Capacity is your ability to execute things, and your capacity is based on the time, the skill, the access, and the commissioning that you have, right? And so, because I work a full-time 9 to 5 with a limited number of weekends and a limited number of vacation days and casual days, I know that I don't have the capacity for being able to block out every single weekend, every single afternoon for multiple clients. So my business is structured in a way that I take things on a project-by-project basis. So as I finish one, I can take on another project, which is a short-term project. And I have a kind of an outline of what things within that timeline I can execute and execute well and consistently based on what's there. So I don't take last-minute jobs often. If it's a last-minute job, it has to be something that I can do with my eyes closed and with minimum effort and minimum access to resources. If it's anything that requires a whole lot of access and things like that, and it's the time frame just will not allow for me to do it well, I refer it to somebody else. I love money, but I love my reputation. I love money. I love money. I love money. Skrilla, dollars, bread, cheese, cake, coins, dinero, yen, Bitcoin.
Everything.
I don't accept Bitcoin though. I don't accept Bitcoin. I don't. Sand dollars, yes. Bitcoin, no. At this point, not at this time. Stocks,
not at this juncture.
Stocks, bonds of all types, mutual funds. I accept them.
Pay me.
Thanks. I like it. But I love my reputation more.
Right.
I love my ability to maintain my professional relationships more because those professional relationships bring you money. And you know what? I learned that from a friend of mine that I absolutely love, Candace. I'm her very good friend, like friend, not an associate. I'm a very good friend, and she had done some work for me before, and she was overwhelmed with something that she was working on. And I was like, "Oh, you only have to do so and so." She said, "Bodine, I can't do it." And I could not get offended by that. My friend told me she does not have the capacity to assist me at this time. Okay? And that was so that I understood that she was at her limit. And if she told me she was at her limit, I had to respect that's the limit that she was at. Okay? I am never afraid to make a referral, especially when I know that I've put the work in with my client to make sure that they continue to come back to me. I've never had a client that I made a referral to for somebody to do work on my behalf that has not returned to me. You have to do your job so well that when it's time for you to balance and you cannot take on something else, they're either willing to wait for you to do it, or you can make a referral to somebody else that you can trust to do it, and you will still maintain your client. That's what those client relationships are. I also take time to manage my self-care. So if you watch my stories, I know I update my stories often, right? And people say, you have way too much things going on in your stories. But I'm like, y'all don't understand. My audience is a different type of audience. There are women there that look like me, they're shaped like me, that they want to see what my fitness and my food regimen is, because they see, some people would think that I've had work done because of the way that I'm shaped. I've not. This is just naturally genetic.
Peas and rice bongi.
Yeah, but also the fact that if you look at me, I'm shaped like somebody that has had work done to their body. These bodies that people are paying for, this is my natural body. But they want to know what I'm eating to maintain it and what I'm doing to work out, whether I have a good day or I have a bad day, if I'm having a fluffy day or if I'm having a day when I don't have as much water soaking into my body and it's bloated. Right. And they need that positive affirmation of, listen, this is what a body looks like when the clothing is moving while you're working out. It's okay. It's going to do this. And then you have some people that follow me because they like to see what I cook and they want to gain that confidence, or they want ideas for their menu. And then you have people that follow me because, oh, we want to see your entertainment journey. Oh, I love the song makes me so happy. Oh, what product are you advertising today? Oh, you're using this appliance. Like, I have the client base is so wide that when I look at what I create and the brands that I promote, I realize that there's a space for a wide demographic of people with a wide level of interests. And so I try to make sure that I show them how I take care of myself, whether I pull out the vacuum cleaner and I vacuum, and I show them how much dust comes from just being in the environment, even though the floor looks clean and the carpet looks clean. I show them that. I show them, okay, well, this is the candle. This is the bottle of Prosecco that I'm going to have 2 glasses of tonight, or the bottle of champagne. This is when I go to the gym. This is when I wake up. These are my affirmations. These are the things that I tell myself. This is what I am working on. These are the classes that I'm taking. This is why you should take the classes. I opened this account with RF Bank and Trust. It was the most expensive gift I've ever given myself in my life, but it was worth it. This is how I'm getting my finances in order. Right. I don't have savings. Being home for 2.5 years over the pandemic took away my savings. So for those of you who had to take care of your families, well, this is how I'm working at it. Yes, I am constantly working, but I'm working because I have a financial goal, and this is how I'm working. I'm working for volume right now, and then later on, I'll be working for additional value and less volume. This is what people need to see. So that is balance. That's why people follow me, because I find a way to say balance. And then some days I don't post anything. You know why? Because I need a break.
Yeah,
I need a break.
So do you with all of this posting and sharing? I mean, because the reality is that you are a brand, right? Not you have a brand. You are the brand, right?
Right.
And so, how do you ever post out of sheer obligation to your audience, or is it that I only post when I feel like it? I only post when I'm inspired. I don't post because people are expecting that, like, because even as I work consciously to build my own personal brand, you know, I made a commitment to myself that and these are conversations like my morning mind check, right? It's a short series.
Yes.
Every morning I have these little pep talks with myself, right? And so I had the bright idea late
Of
last year. I
course.
said, you know, I want to share it. And I really, and I said, you know, this is something that I do for myself and my small
Yeah.
circle, but I want to share it with everybody else,
Yes.
right? And sometimes, you know, I don't feel like putting up the camera and turning on the lights and doing these things, but I do it out of a sense of
Discipline.
obligation. Well, I feel like because I already made the commitment, and so I say, well, one, I can honor my commitment because I made it first, and then two, it's kind of like, you know, I have people, if I'm late on the post, they send me little googly eyes.
Yeah, like
and so I realized that people are actually
Looking
into it. So
forward.
like, how much of your audience consideration, how much consideration for your audience goes into whether or not you post or don't post, or like what you post, like,
you know what, it's a mixture of discipline but also self-preservation. There are going to be days and times when you just don't have it in you to post, and we have to understand that that's okay with any job that you have, because this is a job. You have days where you call in sick, or you have periods where you have sick days, sick weeks. That could be mental days, that could be physically sick days where you just don't have it in you, and that's okay. The point is not to let that be too long, or to hold yourself accountable to yourself and your audience with whether or not you can continue it, or if it's something that you have to step away from permanently, or you have to take a hiatus. For example, Bodine Pot has been off YouTube for about 18 months, but the viewers are still commenting. I've had people say, I've watched this episode like 4 or 5 times and I just waiting on you to come back.
so confession, I watched that to do my stew kang. I
Oh,
think
you're
I shared
welcome.
that. I was like, I want to do stew kang. I was like, oh, okay.
Thank you.
I go on straight there. So I appreciate that. I have consumed that content, and it has added value to me and my belly.
Thank you. Well, this is what we're here for, because I call them people gubbers.
Right.
I call the Bodine Pod followers, they're now gubbers, right? Which is a section of the Coconut Kingdom, which is my personal brand following. The Coconut Kingdom citizens. And the Kingdom citizens are very much into self-evaluation, self-improvement.
Right.
We are into entrepreneurship and fashion and culture, and everything is just rooted in culture and is rooted in community. My tagline is for culture, for community. Okay, and that's the basis of my brand and everything that's associated
For
with
culture
it.
and for community.
For culture, for community.
Nice.
That's it. That's the basis of it. And so they've been after me, and now I'm settled in a space where I'm comfortable enough, and I've developed it so that now I'm comfortable enough to be able to start shooting again, and to take that intimate time between me and the food that I cook and develop, and then editing it and then sharing with them. Because for me, it's kind of therapeutic going through the process of creating something that comes directly from the heart, and then also being able to share a little bit of my love, sometimes my words of wisdom, which are called titter talks, with the audience. And they understand sometimes you just need a step back because
Right.
things happen in your life. But the idea is to maintain the discipline. And the discipline is, no, I don't want to do it today, but I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because like you said, I've committed to it.
Yeah.
You have the followers, they hold you accountable. Okay, no problem. Sometimes I send my followers, sometimes in my DM, Bodine, how you make it, and I send them a voice note. Oh, you add this, and that, da, la, la, la. I can't give you all measurements, but I can tell you how to do it.
Right.
And they keep coming back, and they say, girl, thank you, and they send me the photos of stuff like that. And I need to do a better job, honestly, of taking those photos and, creating a template so when they put it up there and they give me permission, I can share it on my feed.
Right.
I need to do a much better job of that. But the point is, the connection is still there, and I'm trying to make sure that it's not an entirely parasocial kind of relationship where you have people that follow you and they engage with you and they love you and they kind of obsessed with you to a point where anything it is that you say goes, and it can go left very quickly. but maintaining authentic and genuine connections will always keep your audience there. So despite the fact that some days you don't feel like being disciplined, or you don't feel like doing it, you still have to exercise that discipline. Same way you go and you work out, which is that's my biggest struggle. I can't work out by myself. Like, I come from a kung fu, wrestling, MMA background,
right,
and boxing. So I'm accustomed to
having
working
that at least that other person or energy to bounce off.
Right. And I have to go to small classes. I can't go to the gym and work out by myself. It's not gonna happen. And so that's the area where I need to be a bit more. I be like, I ain't into that today. I have too much things to do, and then I'll find 300,000 things to do instead of going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's my confession.
Say 3 Hail Marys. Calling me in the morning.
I'm Baptist.
I went to Catholic primary school.
Okay.
And that's the extent of my my experience with confession. All right. So what is next? What is next? Like, what is on the horizon for the Coconut Goddess and the Coconut Kingdom and their citizens? Like, what can we expect? What is on the horizon for Bodine Victoria?
Okay, so what we're going to be doing is you're going to see the return of Bodine Pot.
Right.
You are going to see more music, and you're going to see new music videos. They're going to be dropping very soon. More brand collaborations, more international travel, so that you can hear this movement in Bahamian music being exported to the world, and more brand presence across a number of the different entities that align with my brand: governmental, private, corporate, etc. There's going to be more information on financial literacy. As I continue to learn more, I'm going to pass that information on and then direct people to good sources, reputable sources for investing their money, investing their time, investing into their education, because those things are very important to me. I am not one of those persons that is going to continue to take away from my audience, take the love, the admiration, the engagement, without giving something back.
Yeah.
So the Coconut Kingdom is a learning community. It's a space for entrepreneurship.
I like that.
Yeah.
I felt that one.
Yes.
Learning
Yeah, it is. And empowerment and self-love and just being able to be your most creative self, your highest possible self in the moment that you're in. So you're going to see all of that. And that's me providing kind of a scope without giving out all the information.
Yeah.
I want you to follow me at Bodine Victoria across all social media platforms. I'm going to do better with TikTok. I prefer Instagram and Facebook. Hush. So Bodine Victoria across all social media platforms. If you would be so kind as to purchase my music on Apple Music, iTunes, anywhere digital music is sold, I'd appreciate that. If you can't purchase it, streaming it is not as good, but I'll take it. Because I can't watch your wallet. I don't know what's inside your wallet, but and when you hear that I'm having events or there are things that I continue to promote, just continue to share the love, even if it's a share or you being there in person or providing your finances to assist the people that I am connected to and my brand. Appreciate that. So at Bodine Victoria.
Awesome. At Bodine Victoria. Now, all right, so because you can't beat me to the punch, that's gonna have you drop all of them. But see, that's why I love working with professionals, because they know what they're doing.
And he said, Dorian said, y'all are 25 seconds.
So in conclusion, I really enjoyed this, but this is the Value Add Podcast, and you can take this in whatever direction you want. But I want you to leave our viewers, if they're watching this on YouTube, or our listeners, if they're listening it on their favorite podcast platform, I want you to leave them with some value. So whatever direction you want to go, whatever you're so inspired to do, I want you to add some value in addition to what you did, but leave them with something that they can chew on in closing.
Okay. So in closing, I'd like to say to everybody, learn. Continue to learn. We spoke about mentorship, and we also spoke about the avenues that I was able to learn or access information that has become valuable. And you have to continue to put yourself in a place of learning, because with learning comes enlightenment. With enlightenment comes access. And we continue to become better by our willingness to learn, to find the information that is important to us, that is in alignment with our goals, our SMART goals, which are specific or strategic, measurable, accessible, realistic, and time-based. I think that's the 5. Develop your SMART goals and then learn what you need to do to be able to execute it. Everything starts with vision. And if you have that vision, you will know that you need to continue to learn to be your best self. Learn from the educator.
From the spoken like a real teacher.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have just, if you made it this far, you got a wealth of knowledge from Bodine Victoria. And like I told you guys, an amazing woman, business owner, entrepreneur, like everything. She is the real deal. And so be sure to go and follow her. We'll drop her social media handles and everywhere you can stay connected with her in the on the screen somewhere here. And just go and support, and let's continue to build, and let's continue to add value to ourselves so that we can add value to others. Bodine, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, Ethan. Thank you so much for having me. Y'all, please watch the podcast, listen to it, and don't forget to subscribe to the Value Add Podcast, wherever it is that you find it. Thanks.
Peace.